What's up, you guys? Happy Tuesday. I hope you're having an awesome start to your week. You guys have been taking off and you're following the meal plan. So I know that you should probably start to notice a few things today. You're feeling a little bit better. You're probably feeling more energy, fuller longer, and those things. What I wanted to talk to you about today was something that most people don't talk about, something that really needs to be addressed, especially when you're starting to eat healthier and you're on your fitness journey. I feel like this part of your journey gets left out a lot. Like, we want to solve the problem of, oh, what should I eat and what should I do and how do I schedule things out and what meal prep and this and that, and let's talk portions. And the big thing that we leave out is why we eat what we eat. And I don't mean like what are the nutritional benefits. I mean, why do you choose certain foods whenever you either are eating healthy or you're eating unhealthy? And it all boils down to how they make you feel emotionally. I know for me, emotional eating has always been an issue. Stressed, sad, or super depressed. There was a time where I was really depressed, happy. We choose foods based on emotion. We've turned food into a way to make us feel a certain way. We celebrate with food. We feel better and get comfort from food, and we sometimes are just mindless eating because we're bored, and so food fills that void when we're bored. So I really wanted to talk about something called personal development, and it wasn't until about 5 years ago that I myself started doing this thing that everybody was talking about when I became a coach. And I realized that the second that I introduced this into my groups and start helping women understand why they choose certain foods and give them different alternatives to what they're doing to either deal with emotional issues or deal with a hectic lifestyle or deal with their depression, it changes the way they treat food, and they respect themselves a little bit more, and they have better outlets and things like that. So personal development is basically what it sounds like. You're developing your person. You're finding some way to improve where you're stuck. And it takes a lot of courage to be this vulnerable and look at, okay, where am I really struggling? So that vulnerability of looking in the mirror and saying, okay, well, I'm really struggling with depression, or I'm really struggling with emotional eating. I eat my feelings. I was that way. I would eat my feelings. If I was happy, I would eat something that made me comfortable. If I was stressed, I would grab a bag of chips and something salty and something spicy, and I'd eat that until I was like grossed out. And then I felt like shit. I was guilty for having eaten that, and I felt bloated and terrible because the food didn't agree with my stomach. So I felt double ugh. So when I was really depressed, I found myself eating a lot and all the time, and I would eat ice cream, and I would find anything that would give me that dopamine rush and release some hormones so that I could feel better for a second. But that usually came with a crash or with a feeling of guilt for having done that, because I knew my body would pay for it later. I'd feel really bloated. I'd feel really icky. I'd be over full. And I would feel sluggish and tired because a lot of the foods that I was reaching for would make me sluggish and add to my already slow pace and just make me feel even worse. So I have a few tools and tips for you. First of all, a couple of books that made a huge difference for me when I started my journey, and when I started reading some of these books to deal with my mean girl. There were times where I would be on my fitness journey and I would binge eat. I would fall off, like that's the phrase, right? Because I'd look in the mirror and I'd feel like I wasn't good enough, like I wasn't far enough. I'd compare myself to somebody on Facebook or Instagram that was clearly on a different part of their journey, and I'd compare myself. I would even, compare myself to the old me and beat myself up and pick myself apart and say, how the hell did you get this way? Like, what's wrong with you? And so I needed to find books that made me feel a little bit better. I don't have a lot of them in paperback. I've started picking up a lot of Audible books. It's an app where you can download the books and have the author read them to you so that you can multitask. And I really find that those are books that you can usually feel the passion of the author in the book, so you feel their vibes and that energy flows to you. So one of the first ones that I started reading was You Are a Badass. I don't have that one in paperback, but You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, and I'll share a picture of my favorite books with you guys. All the personal development I've read over the years is one of my favorite books because she empowered me to tap into the inner badass me and just stop caring about what other people were thinking. I've read books like this one, Girl Code, which really helped me feel a little bit more empowered in my decision-making skills, not just in my business, but in my fitness journey too, because I felt I was always questioning, do I know enough? Can I do this? Is she better than me? So those things really helped me be a little bit better. The Miracle Morning is a really, really great one because not only does it show you how to grow yourself first, but it also gives you practical tools on how to start your day. And it really started giving me a ritual of expressing morning gratitude, creating a miracle moments journal, tracking what I was doing, drinking water in the morning. Like it told me, like, part of your morning routine is to drink water. But it also helped me unravel some of those things, like that let me deal with some of those gremlins, I guess is how I'm gonna name them. The gremlins that were eating away at the who I was. So there's one that it's actually a TED Talk, and I'll share this one for sure with you guys, is Brene Brown. The author Brene Brown, anything by her is amazing, but the power of vulnerability, braving the wilderness, shame. She covers all these topics in TED Talks, and journaling was my next avenue that I took upon myself. I was always afraid to put things on paper because I didn't want there to be proof of anything. I wanted to be invisible when I started my fitness journey. I wanted to be invisible. So I didn't document things. I would not take pictures of myself. I was pretty much unfindable, if you will. So writing something down and being vulnerable in a journal and having that out there was kind of scary. And I'll tell you exactly why. I'm going to divulge a little bit more and just kind of get real with you. When I was younger, my mom had a journal and she dealt with depression a lot. She dealt with depression a ton, and she was actually going to a counselor. And I found out, that she kept a journal, and my sister and I sat down and we read this journal, and it was in that journal that she admitted that she had been sexually abused by her father. And I was like, oh my God, that revealed something to me so raw and real about my mom, and it broke my heart. And I kept thinking to myself, I don't want to keep anything like that documented. I don't want anybody to have that on me. I don't want anybody to know my private feelings and thoughts. At that point, that kind of left me in a mindset like, don't leave anything documented behind that you don't want others to know about. So that gave me the power of, oh my gosh, you need to hide stuff. So for me, journaling things was a huge breakthrough in breaking that cycle of hiding things that they teach you to be ashamed of over time. They teach you to be ashamed of who you are and what you look like and things like that. And so I started journaling every little thing about how my relationships were going, about how I was feeling that day, about what I look like, about my workouts, about what I was eating, and I wrote everything down. And so I want to give you that tool. I want to give you that tool of journaling because that gives you power back, actually. I thought it made it I'm trying to get comfortable. I thought that it would give me a way out of being confined by these imaginary walls that I was protecting myself with. So journaling is the next thing that I'm going to give you as a tip for emotional eating and just feeling a certain way. So if you take it upon yourself to really change who you are and create healthier habits, I will say to write in a journal every single day and just kind of document how you feel and what you're doing and how it's going, and give yourself that privacy in a book. If you want to put it somewhere safe, fine, but give yourself that privacy in a book to store all the stuff that's in here that could be causing you harm, because it does create those hormones. Believe it or not, those feelings are hormones being released, and some of those hormones are damaging, and they cause you to want certain things that aren't good for you. And on top of you putting things in your body that aren't good for you, those extreme amounts of hormones caused by depression and caused by stress actually cause damage to your body too. So now you've got ulcers, and now you're dealing with the genetic breakdown and cancer and things like that, because believe it or not, the way you feel also affects your health. So journaling is a really, really great outlet that I give to the girls in my group, that I practice still to this day. I journal, I write things down. Now, I may not be writing consistently every day in that journal, but I always write something down and track how I'm feeling in one of my journals. And I have many. I have some that track my food and just my nutrition, and I have one that I keep that as a personal diary, and one of them that's for my visions and dreams, and one of them for, and I could go on. I love to write things down now. I like to have, and I keep all of my journals and books. So I will say that is my next tip for you. Now, like I said, we eat because it makes us feel a certain way, whether it's happy or sad or stressed. We want to deal with it. We want to eat to deal with either a feeling or to express a feeling. We're happy and we want to celebrate. Boom, let's go to a restaurant and let's go eat something nice. I want to suggest to you that you find another activity that doesn't involve eating to deal with a situation. So for example, you got a promotion and you want to celebrate. Boom, all of a sudden everybody wants to go out for alcohol, drinks, and things like that. And oh my gosh, but that's actually counterintuitive. That's counterproductive, I should say. When you go out for drinks, that kind of slows down your progress. You have alcohol in your system, your liver's not working optimally. So you're not processing foods right, and that actually affects, the alcohol actually affects all the other cells in your body. So what I will suggest is that you find something that has no involvement with food to celebrate, no involvement with food to express your stress. When you're stressed out, like for example, let's continue on with the promotion. So instead of going out for drinks, maybe you guys go and celebrate by bowling, or celebrate by, buying yourself a new pair of shoes, or something that's not food. Celebrate that way. The next one that I want to give you a tip on is something that if you are stressed out or you're feeling depressed, is that you actually reach out to somebody, that you tap into a community of support or somebody who's going to help you through that. I don't want you to find someone who's going to commiserate with you. I want you to look for somebody who is going to help guide you through, who will listen, acknowledge your feelings, and guide you through to where you need to be. You don't need somebody to commiserate with you and live in the misery. That is not what you need to do, because that won't help you move past this, and it won't help you change the habit of what you've been used to over these past years. So what I suggest is to find somebody. I create these groups in our peer support group. We do not commiserate. We don't say, oh my gosh, I feel so bad this morning, oh my gosh, and then everybody's like, oh yeah, me too, miserable, let's go get cake. What's the point? No, we actually have different tips and tricks. And like I said, personal development is the first thing that I suggest. What did you listen to this morning, girl? Find somebody who's going to listen to you and acknowledge how you feel. You don't need somebody who's going to tell you, if you tell somebody, oh my gosh, this morning I stepped on the scale, for example, you tell somebody, I stepped on the scale and I haven't lost an inch, I haven't lost anything. And friend says, bitch, you're crazy. You look fine. I don't know why you're so stressed out about it. First of all, she didn't acknowledge how you felt. Like those are real feelings. You want somebody who's going to say, okay, I understand how you feel. That happens. And she didn't give you a way to improve or to give you a different, perspective. She didn't say, okay, well, I understand that the scale hasn't moved, but how do you feel? Do you have more energy? Do you feel like you've gotten through your workouts? Are you on track with your eating? How do you feel? Have you taken before and after photos? She didn't give, if somebody isn't giving you a way to grow or to redirect your feelings into something positive and to look at the other perspectives of it, then that's not the kind of person you need. You need somebody who's going to sit there and say, back to you. If you come at them and say, oh my gosh, I wish I could lose these last 10 pounds. I feel like I hit a plateau. the scale hasn't moved. I'm so bummed out. I'm super stressed out. I just want to go eat cake because what's the point? A good support system is going to say, okay, I understand that. You know, by when do you want to reach this goal? And then you tell them. And they're like, all right, well, have you taken a before and after photo? And you're going to tell them yes or no. And they're going to ask you these other accountability questions. Well, how do you feel? How do you feel in your workouts? How do you feel during your day? How are your clothes fitting? You know, I've seen you working really hard, so you're being consistent. So, I mean, I feel like you just need to be a little bit more patient. What can I do to help you be more accountable? Do you want me to check in with you and see how you're doing in a couple of days? Do you want me to help you meal plan, maybe something different, so that maybe it's the food that you're eating, your body's gotten used to it? So what can I do to help you? That is somebody that's going to help you be more accountable and help you stay on track and actually give you some guidance and be there for you. Do you see the difference between somebody who will commiserate with you and say, oh yeah, me too, I always feel that way, and like I've been in part of groups where everybody's just kind of like, oh yeah, I know, and I hate the way my stomach feels, and I hate the way that my muffin top is, and then they don't turn around and do anything about it. So finding a friend that you can confide in, you know, during those times when you're stressed out, during those times when you feel like you are weak, or you feel like you might go out and do something that totally is unhealthy, have somebody that you can reach out to and talk to, and call a friend, call a family member, get distracted. That's my next tip. Distract yourself with something else. If you're focusing a whole lot on one negative, everything else is going to be negative. So find something to redirect your focus. What you focus on is what you'll get. So don't focus on the negative. Find something positive. Maybe you're not doing well in your eating, but you are doing well in your work, so you feel good about your work. So give yourself something to focus on in your work, and don't give yourself so much pressure where you're weak. Find some constructive things to do, make a plan for changing that up, but understanding that the emotions behind why you're eating what you're eating, and finding a new outlet instead of emotional eating, instead of binge eating, instead of stress eating, instead of doing those things, there are other things that you can be doing. So again, I am going to strongly recommend some books for you guys so that you can get started on whatever it is personal to you. Everyone is different. I know a lot of the women that I work with have a lot of the struggles that I have too. They struggle with confidence, they struggle with emotional eating, they struggle with not feeling good enough. So a lot of the books that I share are those. I also spend a lot of time listening to YouTube motivational. I listen to a lot of YouTube motivational videos, because once you fill your mind up within that first hour with positive things and block out and silence the negative thoughts in here, you silence that mean girl. She's quick too, so you got to silence her early in the morning. Once you silence that mean girl, your day gets easier. You set the tone for your day. And when you set the tone for your day and you create a habit of that, now it's not set the tone for your day. You've set the tone for your week, and then you're winning. So I want you to just take a minute and think, which one of these tools can I use? Do I need to read something that's going to help me improve on how I feel, some suggestions, and something that's going to make me feel good and remind me that I'm a badass and that I am a woman and that I am capable of anything and that I'm powerful and strong and that I have more in me? Do I need to find a friend that I can count on? Do I need a support group? If you do, I am going to continue to recommend that you join me in a boot camp, because that is what we do. We are your support system. We hang out. We are a fit squad in all sense of the word, not just physically and eating, like spiritually, mentally too, because that is a huge component of why we eat what we eat. So do you need help finding other activities to celebrate, to deal with your emotional distress, to deal with being stressed out at work, to deal with whatever? Do you need help with managing your time? Do you need some suggestions with that, managing your time, so that you're not just in a rush, because feeling rushed makes you go through that drive-through, makes you pick up something unhealthy, makes you grab that candy out of your kid's hand, makes you not sit down and eat a plate of food with your family because you're feeling rushed. Not necessarily being rushed, but there's a feeling of like, oh my gosh, there's urgency and you haven't gotten anything done. Maybe you need some help managing your time. And a good one for this one is the morning miracle. I'll tell you that. Do a self-analysis. Depending on where you're at in your life, whatever's going on with you, pick one of those things and start working on it. It isn't going to happen overnight. This is a process, but guess what? You have your entire life to continue to grow and be better. I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you have any comments or questions about anything and you're catching this on the replay, feel free to leave them right here below or message me privately. I'm going to continue to go in here live for the rest of this week. Continue following your meal plan. I am going to share tomorrow's menu for tomorrow and the very next day so that you have that and so that you've got something to work with. And I cannot wait to come back and be live with you guys tomorrow. I'm going to share something really cool about your food labels. Talk to you later.